Coach, we want to move now into a fun segment we always play here on the show called Start, Sub, or Sit. And so we'll give you three different topics, mostly all basketball here. We'll ask you to start one, to sub one, and then to sit one, and then we can have a little discussion, or you can explain your answer briefly, and then we'll have a discussion around it. So if you're ready, we're going to start with kind of a non-basketball one for you. And so this is a fan write in here on this one. No, you're a big baseball fan, and you've been in some major cities with great baseball teams. So we're going to ask you to start, sub, or sit these three iconic baseball stadiums, your preference of a game you'd like to see at one of these stadiums. So Wrigley Field, Fenway Park, or Yankee Stadium. Start, sub, or sit.
Let's see. I'd start Fenway Park.
Okay.
Sub. I think Wrigley.
Okay.
Uh-oh, Coach.
Okay, Coach. I don't know if this is the way you are.
And then I'd sit Yankee Stadium.
Okay. Well, we won't dwell on. Go ahead, Coach.
That probably is not great, but I'm actually a White Sox fan because of Tony La Russa. So
okay. Well, going back to Fenway, I mean, I've got family in the Boston area. I've been to multiple games there. I mean, what is it about you personally that love Fenway?
I'd say, like, and the irony is, I grew up in Connecticut, and so you're split. Either you're a Red Sox fan or a Yankee fan, and oftentimes, as it was in my case with my own family, half are Red Sox fans and half are Yankee fans. So I grew up being a Red Sox fan. So,
okay.
But many of my cousins are Yankee fans, so it was a lot of fun growing up. And not obviously, and I was here in the '90s with all their great teams, and it's, and you're right, it's an iconic franchise, incredible stadium. It's it's a special place, but it's having grown up a Red Sox fan, I maintain that allegiance.
Okay. Coach, wanted to quickly, you mentioned Tony La Russa, and maybe circling back to our first conversation real quickly about learning from other people. I mean, what is it about La Russa that you've taken, back with what you do?
He's fascinating. He's like a lifelong learner. He studies all sports, very, very intelligent guy. He's had incredible success, but he's a great leader, but he has great humility. And so I got to know him when I was in Chicago, and Jerry Reinsdorf introduced us, and we maintained a very close relationship ever since we've met. But I just love the way he studies winning in all sports. And he's one of those guys, every time you talk to him, you learn something. And I was also fortunate with Team USA to be around Coach K and Jerry Colangelo, and both of those guys. And the thing that I loved about him, and you could add in, Jim Boeheim, and of course Monty Williams. But the thing that I admired about Coach K, Tony La Russa, Jerry Colangelo, is that they're very, very accomplished, and they're still hungry to get better, and they're driven. And so, like, the passion that they have where they are in life just says so much about them, and you can't help but learn when you're around them. They've been through, all kinds of things. They've adapted to many different things, and you can see, just to be that great over that long of a period of time, like, to me, that's truly what great is. It's doing it over a long period of time, like they've done. So I've learned a ton from all of those guys. I've been very fortunate to be around them.
Absolutely. It's great.
Coach, on this same thread, how do you continue to learn during a season? obviously it's
well, you learn from everyone. Yeah. And that's the thing. You can learn, you learn from your staff. I have a great staff. You learn from opposing coaches. You learn from players. You can learn from, you could watch a college game and say, well, that's what they're doing is great, and then you learn that way. Doesn't matter. There's great coaches on every level. It could be a high school coach, a junior high school coach, a Division III coach, Division II, Division I, a G League coach, an international coach. The international game is a fantastic game. We're fortunate because it's a global game. I loved my experience with Team USA. And that's the beauty of the game. And so, I think that you want to take advantage of all those things and, people that have been through things. But to answer the question about during the season, I was very fortunate to come into the league under Bill Musselman, who was an incredible coach. And that set the tone for, everything that followed. I was around Jerry Tarkanian, then John Lucas. And then when I got to New York, that was the mother lode. It was a great team. Jeff Van Gundy, incredible coach. And he had worked for Pat Riley, Rick Pitino, Don Nelson, John McLeod. His experiences were incredible. And we had Patrick Ewing, but the staff was, Brendan Malone was here, and he had been under Hubie Brown and Chuck Daly. Don Chaney was here. He had been with all the great Celtic teams, and Bill Fitch, Steve Clifford, Andy Greer, Jeff Nix. It was just an incredible coaching staff. Kevin O'Neill, who had been around Lute Olson. So you felt like every day you were going to the best clinic in the world. You can sit around, we'd sit in the office and we'd talk about, okay, how would Chuck Daly handle this? How would Pat Riley handle this? And there was just so much knowledge, and the team was really good. So you were learning from them. And, at that time, it felt like every night you were going against, a Hall of Fame coach, whether it was, you were coaching against Chuck Daly or Larry Brown or Jerry Sloan or Pat Riley or Phil Jackson, Rick Adelman. It was every night. It was, yeah. And, so you learn from all those experiences.
Absolutely. Yeah. Our next start sub sit. This is a question in terms of undertaught big man skills. So teaching the DHO or teaching the handoff, offensive rebound techniques, or passing out of the post.
Can you repeat that?
Yeah, no problem. So undertaught big man skills, the DHO or teaching proper handoff techniques, offensive rebounding techniques, and passing out of the post.
So start sub sit. I'm sitting, I'm taking something out.
Yeah. So what would be isn't taught enough. So the start would be, this is taught the least and should be taught more.
Okay. I'd probably say the offensive rebounding. I think it's creeping back in now. I think people are sending more people to the board, and we're seeing the corner crash through the elbow. I think that's become more common. That we went through a stretch where teams were sending everyone back to get the defense set, but I think we're starting to see that more now. What was the second one? The dribble
handoffs or passing out of the post.
Yeah, passing out of the post probably next. I think that's something. And I think particularly like with young players, I think that there's a tendency to fight the double team instead of getting rid of it quick, where you have the advantage, so, and having everyone understand, like, you're exerting a lot of energy fighting pressure with pressure. So, we can get great offense off of this. Sometimes you can beat a team with the pass. And so understanding, I think, and that comes oftentimes with experience. I think when you see some of the more experienced players, they're baiting you into the double team to create that, high percentage play where you swing, and, you created the long closeout. Either you're getting the open three or dribble penetration and the second shot. So that's probably second. And then what was the third one?
The dribble handoffs. I'm assuming that's a sit.
Yeah, I like the dribble handoff. And I think that you can. And again, it's a different way of like putting pressure on people, and we're seeing a lot of different things with inverted handoffs, and I think you can create really good offense off of that. And it's also a way, like if you don't have a skilled big, to get to that action where if they're sagging off them, to create open shots for your best shooters. I think there's a lot of different things that you can do off of that, but and it keeps it moving too. And it's a good counter, I think, against teams that are trying to keep the ball on one side of the floor.
Yeah. Coach, my first follow-up there is, why do you think offensive rebounding is coming back?
I think that, like when you really analyze where you get your threes from, and obviously the transition is a big part. I think the dribble penetration, and the rim read and the spray out is another one. And now I think people are really emphasizing the kick out off of the offensive rebound. So I think, I think looking at it from an analytical standpoint, there's a thought process that, it's another way to get threes and take advantage. And you may have someone that's really good at it. I know when we were in Boston in 08, we had Kevin Garnett was more in the high post area, the top of the key. And, that was probably his best area on the floor. It was when he shot from that area, even though it was frowned upon by some because analytics here, but it was like a layup for him. If he got that shot, you knew it was in. And Rondo oftentimes was down on the baseline, and he was really good at going to the offensive board and also creating havoc from behind, on defensive rebounds, going and getting steals. And it also allowed us to pick up full court. So Kevin, we inverted the defensive transition. Kevin would get back and Rondo would go up. And so if the strengths of your club are saying that, that's one thought process. But also that corner crash, I think what we see a lot is, like when the ball's shot, there's a tendency from the corners for guys just they turn, they stand, and they stare versus turn and check. And that's a free run to the rim, through the elbow. And some guys are great at it. And it's led to easy scores and kick out threes. So it's another way to get an easy bucket.
Absolutely.
And in terms of maybe the teaching the technique, is there anything you emphasize, or is it more like, is it more of an innate thing? This guy's just a great offensive rebounder. Like with Rondo, are you giving him any tips, or is it just, he has a knack?
I think it's instinctive, but like, I think the thought process of running through that elbow, like if you can get the guy to lose vision, and there's a lot of guys, especially in the NBA, they're not blocking out. So if you have a free run to the rim, it's something you can take advantage of. Yeah. And the way, to me, it's because of the volume of threes that are being taken, where the offensive rebounds are going are a little bit longer. They're oftentimes in that elbow area. So, and you see it all the time where, guys are getting that long rebound and it's a quick kick out, and either it's the three there or the quick swing off the kick out. And that's, you almost feel like that's an automatic.
Yep. One quick question, Coach, about the post passing. And I was just curious, when do you teach them to pass out of the double? So if they're coming to double and you said, a lot of guys will try to fight the double, when are you teaching them to pass? Is it as the double's coming, when the double's there?
Yeah. And I think it depends upon like who you have in there. But I think anytime that second defender comes, we want you to make plays. Don't fight it, because that quick, we like to replace all the way over in front. And so it's an easy outlet. And what it also does, it gives us a crack at reposting you. Right. And so if we can get two onto the ball, that means we have an advantage somewhere. And if we move the ball quickly, we should get a very high percentage shot off that, and also puts us in great position to offensive rebound and also to get back and get set with our defense. So I think guys that are trying to split the double team, and like I'd say for the first 3 quarters, I want you to just make sure we're getting everyone involved. The fourth quarter, if you feel it's not a strong double team and you're a primary scorer and you feel you have an advantage, probably more role in that area there. But and I think the same thing. Like it doesn't matter whether it's a post double team or the blitz or the pick and roll. The same thing. I don't want you fighting trying to split the pick and roll all game long. And if they're putting 2 on you, get the ball out. We always say it's the second pass against the double team. So it's not the first pass, it's the second pass. And there's no way you're going to be able to rotate. If we're moving the ball quickly, we're going to get a high percentage play.
Absolutely. All right, Coach. My next start sub sit for you. We've been talking about your analytics department and how good they are, but this is going to be a question about what analytics, I guess, matter to you the most. So start sub sit. These are going to be individual player analytics stats. So adjusted plus minus, player efficiency rating, or PPP or points per possession. Start sub sit. Those 3 analytics.
So start means that I like it the most.
You like it the best. You like it, yeah.
Okay. I'm not a big fan of the adjusted plus minus.
Okay.
I like, so I'd say I'd sit that one. Points per possession, I'm very high on. So I'd say that one's second. What was it? What was the other one?
Player efficiency rating.
Oh, player efficiency rating would probably be second. Points per possession be first. Yeah.
And so, why the player points per possession? Why do you like that one so much?
Because I think it reflects actually what you're doing. Like on the floor. So both I get that daily, like after every game. So I know roughly like where we are, where our opponents are. And I think it's pretty accurate. Like for one game, maybe not, but over more of a period of time, it reflects actually what is done. It's the same thing with like plus minus. I actually like more when a player's on the floor, what's happened, and then when he's off the floor, what's happened. And I get that both for every game that we play in and for the season. And the same thing with that. It's like, for one game, it's not going to tell me everything I want, but over 20 games, it's going to tell me something, right? Yep. So like those 2 and PER, I guess I sort of like it because it reflects, it's a compilation of things combined into one that gives you a standard measurement for everyone in the league. But I don't know how like you're determining the value for each category. You may value, like someone may value one area more than another. And right. Then does it reflect, like a player playing to his strengths and covering up his weaknesses, which is also a big part of winning.
Yeah.
But I do look at it. So.
Okay. Pat, can I follow?
Yeah, follow.
Coach, and then I'm interested then in, whatever the stat that you like most or that you get, then sort of the process for you now taking that information and then having conversations with your players about how they can improve or what you're looking at or what you expect out of them based off of what you're getting from the analytics.
Yeah. So like you have, your pregame reports come in. And so the coaches, we're going to have a lot more information, and then we're going to pare it down where there's a few key points that we're going to emphasize to the players. And then we also get a post-game package analyzing everything that transpired in the game. And then when we go to film, and we always go to film before practice, right after the game, the first thing are like, okay, this is what happened. And we try to put them like, you use the term buckets. So buckets, so they could reflect, okay, defensively, did we meet what the things we were trying to get done? Offensively, did we meet? And we'll break it down like, how many times the ball hit the paint, what our efficiency was, how many, one of the things, and again, like we're not where we want to be in terms of 3-point attempts, but we thought we made major strides in that area. What was a big concern was our shooting. And I think we went from 27 to 3 in terms of 3-point field goal percentage. And we're up to 30, which is still not enough. The league average is around 35. So we still have a way, but we made a jump in that area, and we got to continue to work on that. So we measure all those things, how many free throws we're getting each game, defensively, like how many times did we get, 3 stops in a row, how many times we allow the ball into the paint, just different things that, so they can see okay, this is concrete. This is why we won. This is why we lost. Or it also, I think it helps emphasize like what you're going to work on that day in practice. So like we fell short in our pick and roll defense in this situation. So then we'll show them film. Okay, here's a couple examples of us doing it right. Here's an example of us not doing it right. This is what we're going to work on today. So you might pick out, obviously, you can't work on everything every day. So like you might shore up that pick and roll defense, and then the next game it's your defensive transition. But I think it helps deliver the message, to your team. So they have a clear, if you do it after every game, they have a clear understanding of why you have either won or lost. And then these are the things we're trying to work on.
Great.
Coach, on that same thread, when you go into a halftime, what are the stats what are the most important stats you're looking at?
I always look at, field goal percentage, 3-point percentage, free throws, and rebounding and turnovers. Those are the things. And then the secondary with like points in the paint, fast break points, second chance points. We also put it on the board for the players. So they know exactly, if we're short in an area, they get, I want them to see it. And then, of course, we have the video clips at halftime as well.
With the 3-point field goal percentage, is it your field goal percentage or your opponent's field goal percentage? Both.
It's such a big part of our game. So we always have, how many attempts we have, they have, how many made we have, they have, and then the percentage.
Okay.
And Coach, do you care about the number of 3-point attempts, trying to limit the number, or is it just the percentage that you're worried about?
All of the above.
Okay.
So, and we drive home, we always say the ball, the paint, react out, cover the line, finish your defense. So we want to challenge shots. The thing is you have to, like the way things are being called right now, the way you're closing out is whether it's a hard closeout, whether most teams now are, when they shot fake, they skid along the curb. They're not going in for a mid-range shot. They're just coming back into the play to challenge the shot, working on that technique of the pivot, come back, challenge with the hand closest to the ball. Those are the things that we want to be good at. And so, and the best way, is to obviously try to limit the amount of threes that are being taken. So, and that you might tie that into your switching if you feel like, it fits your team. Like you have your switching partners that are automatic, like whether it's 2, 3, 4, or it might be 1 through 4 situations, 1 through 5 short clock. Or, like there's penetration and it's a read and it's a veer back. Those are things that you want to work on in practice.
Okay. Our last one, Coach, I want to give you a scenario that you're tied and there's 20 seconds left and you're going to be on defense. Now maybe take you out of the NBA because the team will be taking it out full court. So you're going to be on defense, 20 seconds and you're tied. In terms of maybe some riskier defense or some defenses you would run, start, sub, sit, trapping in the backcourt, trying to get a trap in the backcourt, or trapping in the front court, maybe sending a double, or last one, a junk defense, triangle and 2, box and 1, maybe a zone press, something you haven't been running at all the game.
I like the idea of the junk defense, but I don't think I would do, in short clock situations, like side out of bounds, because we see that more in the NBA. Like I like it in those situations, but I want to rely on my defense more. I know like internationally, it's different. There's more of, you're trying to get the ball back, right? But I would rely more on our set defense out of the full court, believing that we can get a stop, so that would be one. What was the second one?
Trapping in the backcourt, maybe like a run and jump, or trapping in the front court and doubling, or trapping a pick and roll.
The second one would be, I do like the idea of trapping the pick and roll. And the third one would be trapping in the backcourt.
Okay. Is it in your nature maybe to always, I'm going to try to play defense and we'll take our chances in overtime, or like I want to have the chance to win the game?
Yeah. And again, I think, because of, like in the NBA, we can advance. Like I always believe that, like I'm going to count on my defense, to give us that one last chance. Yeah. So I would probably lean more that way. But I think sometimes it's also like what's going on in the game, who they have on the floor, how your team is going. Where are you in terms of, the players that you have available at that particular time. So I think a lot of things, but my instinct would be to play it out.
Yeah. Okay. Coach, just real quick on the sideline out of bounds, especially in the NBA with so many coaches having a number of sets and whatnot. I mean, how do you prepare for what you might face on a night-to-night basis on a sideline out of bounds, say late game situation? Do you just stick to your general concepts, or do you try to have the sets scouted or mixture of the two?
Well, you have everything that they've run their last 5 games and just about every situation, and it's already drawn up. So you've already prepared for, what they might do. And so I think that's all part of your preparation. And, every game you're going to have like a late game tape of what your opponent does. And so I think that helps with your preparation.
Okay. In those timeouts, when it's high stress and the play, I guess, are you cognizant of how you communicate to your players so they're all on the same line? Does anything change from when it's the first quarter to now it's 5 seconds left? Is there any sort of how you approach the players and communicate with them in that huddle?
Yeah, I think it's different because, you're going to communicate first, but I also like the idea of the team coming together to remind each other too, as they're breaking the huddle, there's one more, and then they get to it. And, I think that especially, like one play, short clock situation, you want to make sure that everyone's clear on what we're doing, and I like you want to tell them and tell them and tell them again, and so, and, it's funny, like when you watch, the playoff games, it's easy. And that's why, like, challenging your team, not only physically, but mentally every day, because knowing that, there's a lot of decisions that are made in the course of a game, and, no one's going to be perfect. Mistakes are going to happen, and you want to minimize those. And oftentimes a mental mistake could be the difference between moving on and going home. So you want to work on that every day. You're challenging your team physically, but you're challenging them mentally too. So that these situations, you want to prepare for everything.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Coach, you're off the start sub sit hot seat, so thank you. We hope you can still go to a Yankee game.
Yeah. Let's do it. We have a do-over on that one. I did say Yankee Stadium, right?
Right.
That's my starter. That's my new starter. The greatest right I have is the right to change my mind.
That's right.